So, good afternoon. I'm going to talk about the journey that Experian has lived with the transition to Tosca, and so we call it the Experian experience. So, who we are, if you're not already, don't know the Experian name, we are one of the main 3 credit bureaus. And so this is just the introduction. I'm going to talk more about it afterwards. And I'm also going to explain a little bit about our testing center of excellence, which is based mainly in Costa Rica. Way back when, I'm going to refer to way back when as when we started off, as how we were working before Tosca. We have a before and an after. So that's our way back when. I'm going to talk to you about our needs. So we are a technical team, and Experian is moving really fast, specifically when you talk about data security and data integrity. It's very important. So for us, evaluating a new tool was, we were very picky about what we were going to get. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about our vision and how are we planning to align the Tosca implementation into the rest of the organizational goals. I'm going to let you know what do I mean by starting strong. We're starting strong because, and this is something that the Tosca people said to us, like we were already very mature in a QA world, in the QA world. So we were starting strong with some really good basis that has helped us kick off Tosca faster and easier. I'm going to introduce you to the team that I work with. How are we going to make this all happen? And where do we want to be by October, hopefully, when I represent this in Vienna? So we have our US corporate headquarters in Costa Mesa, here in California. Main headquarters are in the UK. If you are familiar with Experian, this is the credit report that you will get. You might be more familiar than me because I'm from Costa Rica and this doesn't exist in Costa Rica. So yeah, we have the main headquarters are out of the United Kingdom. The US headquarters are in Costa Mesa. And we are one of the big 3 credit bureaus, the main ones. And now, if you recognize Experian, you see us as the financial entity that avoids you from getting loans. But we are way much more than that, and we are not the bad guys. Okay, we have a representation in 37 countries, and some fast facts about us. We were founded in 1996. Last year, we had a revenue of $4.3 billion, and we are right now 15,500 employees, which of those, 630 are in Costa Rica. This is the coverage around the world that Experian has in offices and bureaus. And like I was saying, we are more than just credit checks, and we're not the real bad guys. So asides knowing all your financial information and helping financial entities to decide whether you apply for a loan or not, we can also help you understand if the used car that you're going to buy is actually a good fit for you, or if it's really a car that has been crashed 3 times before you're buying it, with the auto check. Also with healthcare, we help everybody. We actually aid the insurance companies to actually give you the insurance. So that's part of what we do. Also with marketing services, we can cross-check all the information that comes, everything that you browse in your telephone, in your browsers, and create advertising campaigns specifically to target you. Every time you go into Google and you see that the store that you saw 2 weeks ago is being advertised in your browser, that's Experian. And at the end, it all circles back to our main function, which is decision analytics. It's our business intelligence, and this is, at the end, everything that we do is. Okay, from the headlines. So there is 75%, they say that 75% of the issues comes from, that there's 75% of issues with data inaccuracy. This is bad because having your data inaccurate can actually or not being the banks will not give you money to buy a house or to pay your medical bills. So this is why how we work with data is so important. Also, 85% of businesses, they say they could reduce fraud risk if they were certain about customers' identities. Again, if they are unsure of who you are and they don't have accurate data or it's a fraud, then again, you can lose your eligibility to get financial aid for medical bills. And well, fraud is becoming a bigger and more expensive problem, and we need to make sure that we are handling data in the right way. So everything, this is to give you a little bit of an overview of Experian and why is data so important to us, and why do we need to handle data, and why a testing tool is so important to make our business credible, because we're right now the most important, the main bureau, and we need to stand as is. If you know, Equifax had a data breach, and we will never want that to happen to us. Way back when. So when before we purchased Tosca, we did have another tool. I guess everybody's familiar with it as UFT. It worked, but as you all may know, there are some severe issues with maintenance that comes with UFT. And one of our main applications is the Oracle e-business suite. So that means that before we weren't even able to fix or give maintenance to 10 test cases, the Oracle EBS suite had already changed completely, and everything went to scrap. So we started off with a grand total of 3,500 scripts. Believe it or not, these were delivered by a third-party vendor that was the owner of all of the process before we even existed as Experian employees in quality. We were handed off these 3,500 scripts, which I can tell you were not even functional that day, and today I can tell you they are 98% obsolete. So at the very beginning, we tried to fix them, but then it just became something that was really unworthy because, again, the Oracle Business Suite is difficult. It's always changing. So we decided to make a redevelopment, a re-engineering, which it has been a journey of 1.5 years. But this 1.5 years has not just been the redesigning or the re-engineering. It also, when we got this delivered, there was no process. And to give you an example, the third-party vendors that delivered this to us had UFT, had LAM, but they will handle the defects in an Excel file in a SharePoint. So we had to do the whole process and then start the redevelopment. Right now, we have redeveloped 20% of the scripts, which is a lot, but not good. And running our current regression testing with this scenario that I'm talking about will take us in a good moment, 5 weeks, maybe 3 weeks if we get a lot of resources assigned. But worst case scenario, it will take us 9 weeks. Why? Because although we have automated test scripts, there are scripts that we need to babysit. So yeah, we can put a play and they will start running, but eventually they will crash and we need to add some manual intervention. So that's not automation. The pain points that we've found with the tool that we were using is the learning curve. So as you all know, UFT is script-based, and although in my team there are some developers, it's like they weren't really feeling like they were used to their full potential, and the most junior people, we were trying to teach them, but it's not that easy. It's not tomorrow they will be capable, and that was keeping us from moving as fast as I would have wished we would have moved. Again, we required extensive programming knowledge. Not everybody has it. And well, to me specifically, the object handling of UFT is a pain. Okay. Other of the main pain points is the compromised performance of the machine. So although we don't run the actual tests when it's a real run in our local machines, when we are testing our tests, we do. And there were times like because again, it's the combination of UFT and Oracle EBS that it will just crash your computer for 1 hour while the request came back. So, and finally, UFT is not supporting agile DevOps processes, which is something that we want to do. And well, Tosca does give us this capability in a second. So, our needs. So, we're determined to work smarter and not harder. What does this mean? This means that we don't want to have 3,500 scripts. We want to have the amount that are needed that are covering the whole risk, prioritize them. So we know that we want to have a smart coverage. And because Experian is a consumer-facing place, we need to ensure that we're highly secure, we're quality-focused, and everything, and all of this needs to be contained in whatever we were going to choose. Okay, so that's like, this is like a summary of, because of our pain points and our needs, then this is what we asked Transcentis that we needed to have in the solution that we were going to buy from them. Okay, migrating existing test cases. Of course, we're not migrating 3,500 test cases that are not even functional. But we are going to re-engineer them. And we are not going to base our re-engineering in the 3,500 that we have. We're working closely with the business to, again, understand what are the main things that we need to cover, and that's what we are redeveloping right now. At the end of the day, if we find that we are stuck into migration or very small portions of, not small, big portions, but of low value-added work, we will probably get third party to do that for us so that we can focus on more value-added work. Leverage existing data sources. So again, because we have been a very mature QA team, we have a lot of data sources. We already have a lot of data that we have. We even have a database created by our own developers. And we didn't want to just throw out that to waste and start all over again, specifically with the EBS suite that is so complicated. So leveraging what we have, Tricentis will help us with the TDS to manage a mix of synthetic and real data. So we will be creating synthetic data, but we will also use real data scrambled. And I will talk a little bit more in depth afterwards. Again, because of the GDPR, which is something that everybody has talked about in these 2 days, we need, Tosca will generate for us synthetic data and also will help us scramble data. Okay, with the BI solution, we did a pilot because we have one of our new customers or new teams that we're partnering with is the business intelligence team, and they use Hadoop. So we made a pilot with the BI component. By that moment, it didn't really fulfill our needs, and right now it's this close, but we needed to sit on top of Hadoop instead of having us to move the data into a server and then start working with Tosca, because that's kind of double work. So hopefully we'll get that in a future release, like next release. Okay. So as the rules around data usage and privacy change, we need to update our approaches to meet the regulations. And this is what I was talking about, synthetic data and also scrambling data. There was a specific team in Costa Mesa that didn't want to work with synthetic data because they thought it was going to be too complicated and too slow. So we worked with the Tricentis team to get customization done in Tosca so that we can make some scrambling of the data. And this is what we came up with. So what we have here is we can input a file of real data. Tosca will scramble it, and it will give us a new data file that we can use for testing. How is it work? Basically, it gets my record and it gets somebody else's record and mix it up in a way that you can never recognize that the data is coming from whatever source. And also feels like the postal code and the address are randomized. They're never going to be the real ones. It will also check for blanks and for duplicates. So it's a very cool solution. Frank made it, by the way. Anyways, because it is a lot of work from Frank and from the engineers to do this kind of customization, I do feel that the right path to follow is the synthetic data. It's the safest way to protect the data because it's not real data. And we have a lot of test scenarios that can actually help us build our own database of data that can help us test. Our vision. Okay, so we're a good team, we're ready, and we have a vision. First of our goals is to standardize and collaborate. And what do I mean by standardize? So we're now partnering. So to give you a little bit of an overview, I am part of the EITS, I am part of the Experian Information Technology Services. So I am global, but I am within IT. Then each of the business units that I showed you before, automotive, healthcare, et cetera, they all have their own IT team. So they will all have their own QA team, development team, database team, depending on their needs. We are the center of excellence, so we are our target is to start partnering with these small teams within each business unit so that they can work with us in a standardized way and in a collaborative way. So everybody uses Tosca, that's the goal. But they will use Tosca as we are preaching they have to use Tosca. Increase our productivity. Of course, Tosca is way simpler than UFT. So what I'm seeing here is that with the same amount of people that we have now, we can improve our productivity. We can deliver more and we can deliver faster. Fully automated test cases. Right now, we don't have that. And that is the vision that I have for the work that we have in our team and for the teams that we are going to partner with. And finally, we are going to champion Agile best practices. We're right now on board with Agile, but the rest of the Experian community that is not IT is not necessarily doing a lot of Agile, although they say they are. So that is exactly our goal. Starting strong. So like I said before, although we didn't have the best tool and we weren't being as productive as I would have wanted to be, I do feel we had a very strong start because we already had some standards in. We have our governance and we are working in Agile. So and we have a good process. And we're lean also. So that is a base that has helped us implement Tosca really, really faster and stronger than I would have thought. Also, we have a very, very engaged team. Right now, these are the requests for pilots that I've received since I've launched Tosca 2 months ago. And actually, yesterday, I got an email for another one in Australia. So it is big, it is nice. The people are getting interested. We've got two really strong post pilots that we are working right now. One with our core systems of records, and we're pairing with the enterprise's largest strategic initiative. So systems of record, like I've been talking about, Oracle EBS, and the single sign-on platform. And there's another system which is for onboarding employees. Systems of innovation, we're partnering with the Data Fabric, which is the Experian brand for big data and the data warehouse. This is the coolest project ever. Okay, so you may recognize that we've got a lot of work to do and so much to cover. It's very complicated. We all need to be very coordinated. And so we think about the components of our program in different tracks. The first is to get our infrastructure established. Second, we need the staff that we have to scale up. We have good people, and we are already all certified as foundational testers, or the AS1 and AS2 certifications, but we are moving up to be more, to have more architects, and so that we can streamline every single thing that we do and help the other teams that will partner with us get to this maturity level as fast as possible. Thirdly, we're working with the 2 project tracks. One is the systems of record, and the other one is the systems of innovation. In the future, we would like to include Flood.io into our products. Right now, we are using Performance Center, but we would like to get rid of it too. And finally, the last track that I will put here is the next pilot that we're sure that we'll be working on, which is the Brazil bureau called Salazar. Okay, now I'm going to introduce you to my team. And like I said, it's been only 2 months of us working with Tosca, but it has been a super cool experience. This is my beautiful country, Costa Rica. You all should go there for vacations at least once. This is my team. It's a team of 9. As of yesterday, we're 10. Like I said, we all have our certifications, and we're just waiting for the team to be more experienced with the tool, and we will get our architect certification soon too. Actually, my team is pushing really hard to get this. They're very eager. Then there's the team in Bogota, Colombia, which I partner with. They are divided into 2. One team, the BAU, is the ones that are working with the current technologies with what they have right now for the bureau. And the other one is the one that's actually working with the data fabric team to do some business intelligence projects. How are we going to make all of this happen? Well, we have a game plan, of course. And the first thing is to learn and become Tosca experts. That's the very first thing. And normally, if we were to be self-taught, that will be the normal learning curve. I believe that that's not the case for us because we are working directly with the application owners, so we are getting a good level of commitment to understand what is that we really need to work on and what's not valuable. We have the SMEs involved, which is very important because, of course, we are not experts of all the hundreds of applications that we use. We have SMEs with automation experience, so this is very curious. We get the SMEs asking us for demo and even hands-on so that they can also make their tests. They actually want to get their unit tests into Tosca. And finally, and to me this is very important, we have the engagement of our executive sponsors. So that's truly important for our success. This is why I am challenging the learning curve. Next step is building upon the DevOps. So Experian as a whole has this, at least the internal IT services, we have this agile mentality, and we want everybody to be involved in the DevOps cycle. So we're working towards that. Our next steps, well, of course, first we need to get the automation in place. And the next step is to get the automated code deployment in. And we need to do it really fast because every single team that tries to partner with us is the first question they ask. Are you integrated with Jenkins? Well, this is how I am planning the work for the team. So wait, scale it, shorter job first method. Basically, it's understanding the capacity of my whole team and just commit them to 80% of their capacity to make sure that we have an on-call. So we support on-call, so we need to be prepared also for emergencies. And understand, like, from the prioritized list of tasks, then what are we going to do? So we also have our definition of done made. So we recognize that for a deliverable to be done has to be developed in Tosca completely. It has been reviewed by other team members. It has run 3 times successfully in a production environment, like in a real smoke test or in a real regression test. It is documented in Confluence. It is decommissioned in UFT, and it is integrated in Jenkins so that we can put it into the continuous testing cycle. So I think you've noticed we have had like a solid start. We are already in the transformation. We're involved with the Colombia team, hopefully soon with the Australia and the Brazil team for sure. And by October in Vienna, I will be presenting the new results of all of this exercise. So this is what we've done right now. The first quarter of this year, we made the installation and the configuration of Tosca, and we made our pilot with EBS and the single sign-on platform. The second quarter, we started a pilot with Colombia, and we started planning our work in Costa Rica, and we established the Center of Excellence. We already have some standards, best practices, and agile practices that we already preach for other teams. Third quarter, we're doing the demo with Brazil. We're starting working planning in Colombia. They are going to be trained officially next week. And we will also start working with the analytics team in Costa Mesa. By the end of this year, the pilot with Brazil is going to be in place. Analytics will be in planning, and we hopefully will start engaging Flood. And for next year, then it'll be onboarding Serasa and Australia, hopefully. And Flood will be part of our day-to-day. So where do we want to be? What's the story that I want to tell you in Vienna? We will have all our re-engineering complete. And this is a very ambitious goal because EBS is huge. Does anyone here has tried to test Oracle EBS before? So you understand what I'm talking, right? Hopefully, we will be executing decks continuously. We will have unattended executions. We will have improved analytics, and by analytics, I mean more like the reporting side, because one of my goals as the manager of the team is to prove to the executive sponsors that have invested in this team that they will get all the return of investment. So I need to work out really good metrics to prove this. And finally, hopefully Flood will be engaged and we will no longer have to deal with HP and or Micro Focus. And with that, I think I'm done. Questions or comments, because I can also receive, lessons learned from people that have already tried this. Okay.
Why is learning a slow process? Is it like the Tosca is not user-friendly, or is it not? Because if learning is a slow process, then acceptance will also be a slow process. Right?
I think learning is a slow process because Tosca changes completely the way that you're used to work with an automation tool. So the adaptation process, maybe that's the right thing that I should have exposed. The adaptation process it's what makes it difficult. So for example, and in my case, we didn't got a lot of pushback, but from the small pushback that I got is first, developers, where is the code? How am I really going to customize this? Where's the challenge? But like I was saying the other day, Tosca is easier to use, but it's not easy. You have to have a technical background to understand the logic to use Tosca. That's the adaptation part. And from the business perspective, when you tell them that you're going to use a tool that doesn't have a script, that will not that in their perspective is like you will not be able to customize a lot, they freak out. But we have the engagement, so that's why I feel that the curve is going to be lesser than the normal curve. Mm-hmm. Does that answer your question?
Yes, you did. So is it like someone from a Tosca team involved or part of your team when you are doing this initial implementation, or is it more of consultants based that, hey, you reach out to customer support, get the answer, and then team moves forward?
No, they're the best. They're always involved. Actually, to be very honest, my team feels like they are meddlers.
That's nice.
Any other question? I saw more hands. Okay.
Thanks. I have 2 questions. Can you describe how your team works? So if you have a team of 10 and there's another team that wants your services, you might allocate a few people over there to help them automate. And then there comes a point, does your team go away and help somebody else, and that team has to be self-sustaining and know how to use Tosca and write their own scripts and everything? Or do you maintain them for life?
No, I think it depends on the scope of the contract that we sign with the teams that we partner. So I can do a lot of things. I can just give them the licenses, train them in Tosca, and give them best practices, and just ask me when you need consultancy. I'll make sure that they're following the standards. The second is partnering or helping. So I can, right now, for example, with the Colombia team, I'm sending one of my seniors there that will evaluate what they have, will help them, and will get involved in their projects so that they can come out through. But the idea with them is that they are going to become kind of part of my team. So they will be the owners of their test cases, but we will always be involved with them to help them. Specifically with that team, I can tell you they are not very technical. They're more like very expert users. And then there's the third option where I can just grab all your stuff and do it with my team and just deliver you results.
And then would you maintain it?
Yes.
Afterwards?
Yes.
Okay. And a second question. So when you want to do all these things like decks and analytics and all that, so you engage with CentOS Consulting and they help you with all of this? Is that how that works?
Yes, that's how it works. But like I was saying, my team tries to do everything by their own. So they are very involved, more than they want them to be. So we've been trying to do everything ourselves. For example, the configuration, we did it ourselves until we got to a point that we were not moving, so we engaged the CentOS team. But yes, they are very engaged, more than they want them to be engaged.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi. So my question is, what techniques you and your team had used to learn Tosca?
A lot of practice.
Okay. Did everyone get the certification first, or you had them train up to the technology first, or how did you?
So CentOS Academy will provide you online training. So they went through the online training first, they got their certifications, and then CentOS came into our site and they did some inside training. With the presential training, what we did is that we prepared some scenarios that we wanted to see working, and that's how they trained us. They were using real scenarios from us, and that's how they based the training. But after that, it's just a lot of practice, trying to rebuild what you have in UAT with Tosca, and again and failing. But I have to tell you something. Right when CentOS left our site and we started working, we didn't kicked off immediately with test case building. We started with strategy planning. So we were sure how the standards, the naming conventions, everything that we needed to do before starting building test cases, and then we started building test cases.
How long that took?
that was like 2 to 3 sprints, I think. And our sprints are 2 weeks.
Thanks.
Welcome.
What is it that your team doesn't like about Tosca, and what do they most complain about?
Okay. I was hoping not to get that question. Okay, like I said, so I have 4 developers in the team, pure developers. One of them is an SDET, so he's like the one in the middle, Braulio. One of the main complaints is that they feel that Tosca is not giving them freedom enough to do what a developer does. Like I was telling you, they built a framework, a very, very complex framework to complement the UFT scripts, and that's all gone. That's one of the main complaints. Though they're excited that Tosca is customizable and that eventually they will get to customize it themselves. And the second...
But they can do that, right? Means you have specified steps. It creates a script, but I think it still gives you flexibility to edit the logic or...
Oh, yes.
Right, so
Not as a script. But yes, it gives you a lot of flexibility. But what I am talking more about is their excitement is that they will customize Tosca like the module that I showed before to make to scramble data. And I think the rest of the complaints are more. I cannot say they're complaints. I think there's more like the developers trying to challenge that there's CentOS developers on things that they've missed.
That happens every time there is a change. So,
but overall, there is enormous satisfaction and engagement, and I am very surprised. I thought I was going to get more pushback, and at all, they are super, super satisfied, super engaged, and working really fast.
So anytime, at least in my experience, right, anytime we bring in a new tool into any group, right, there are some set of people who really want to accept it, start using it, but there is a small set who will try really hard to push it back, right? What type of things do you hear from them? There are sometimes reasons, right? I used to do this, but I don't get to. I understand the coding part, right? That doesn't impact business, so not much worried about it. But what type of thing do you hear from that set of group?
You're asking like pushbacks from the business?
From your team members.
From my team members. No, there is not a lot of pushback.
No? Okay, that's good. Thank you.
So I was looking at the slide with all the different roles for your team. Like, it seems to me that you do have an automation specialist, an automation engineer. Is that the designation you have for your team, or it's just whoever?
Yes. In my team, there is no one that's just a manual tester. Everybody has at least some level of coding experience with at least UFT. But there's like the pool of seniors that are actual developers, and they're the ones that lead the projects and mentor the rest of the.
So does that mean, do you focus a lot on cross-training, making sure that, okay, if the automation specialist is not here, there's somebody else who would absolutely, take over, can run?
I try to. I cannot tell you I'm 100% successful, but I try to.
Okay. Do you think like this is, practically possible when you have a team of that size?
No. No, but I can, like I say, I try to do my best, but again, the businesses that we work with are so different from each other that it is difficult to actually have two people that are experts in the different businesses. But what I try to assure is that at least somebody has enough knowledge to at least run the test cases if the expert is gone. Maybe we will not be able to fix something major or create something new, but at least we will be able to keep it going.
Okay, and then my last question is, does everyone take the same types of courses in the academy, or, okay, this guy is only going to go the automation specialist route, this guy is only going to do automation engineering?
As of right now, because we're only 2 months old with
Okay.
Tosca, they have only taken the AS1 and AS2, all
Okay.
of them, but the architecture certification is only going to be taken by certain people.
Okay, so you have a specific, yeah.
Yes.
Which is
Yeah,
a-
actually, one of the informal roles, so to say, is the guy that is, he is in charge of all the infrastructure part. And yeah, it's only one of those. And he is the one that handles the license server, and he helped me create all the infrastructure, the network.
Yeah, it's always better to have the right person doing the right
Exactly,
task. Yeah.
exactly.
That way, it doesn't
Yeah,
get all.
and I also have a vulnerability manager role, and
Must be hard to manage all these people.
it's fun.
I'm glad. All right, thank you.
Welcome.
One thing I will say too is it'll be interesting when Tatiana presents in Vienna to find out how many of those developers that didn't like the coding miss coding.
Hi, hello. I just wanted to know, like, first of your discussion, you said that you are moving out UFT because of the maintenance. So could you please just like let us know, like tell us the difference between UFT maintenance and the Tosca maintenance? So what is the difference you found? And then if you could
I
just
will give
highlight
you the
something.
first and the main one, the rescan. So one of the main issues that you will find when you're trying to automate tests with Oracle EBS is that the objects from one version of EBS to another, they change completely. Like everything that you had mapped, it doesn't exist anymore because this new version changed the names of everything. So you have to go one by one by one and change them, find them. With Tosca, you will just make a rescan.
So how it works in Tosca?
So you're not a Tosca user.
So I'm starting actually.
You are familiar with the scan functionality?
Yeah.
When a page is failing and it's because something is not being recognized, Tosca has a rescan. So you don't have to scan from scratch again and start creating everything.
Oh,
You will
okay.
just get there and do a rescan, and it will update everything.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Hello. Hi. Like as part of like continuation to her question, like you were telling like learning path is a bit slow compared to the other areas. For a developer, what you were telling is slow, then what about a manual tester or any business user adopting it? How slow it would be or how fast it would be?
It depends. I think if the manual tester has a technical background, it will not be that slow. It's going to be slow because, again, it involves a lot of logic. And if you're a manual tester, it's something that you're not used to it at all. But it's definitely easier than starting with Selenium or LAM. So I think it depends. But if it is a manual tester that has a technical background, it will pick it up faster. And I think I can challenge that maybe it's going to be even faster as a developer because he has a clean mindset. That's just a theory, though.
As a lead for your team, do you find that you're doing automation and you know all the details of the tool, or no?
No, I cannot say I do, but I don't like to be left behind. So I took the courses, and I wouldn't be able to stand up here and not understand what I'm talking about. But no, they don't let me be hands on the code.